and maybe maybe a draft pick. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm reading right now. See, this is cool, man. I'm reading right now. Steven Jackson said to Mark Graham, because Mark asked Steven how big is a typical playbook. Steven Jackson says size of a playbook. I would say a phone book. For minicamp, I would say just the yellow pages, and then he LOL. Oh god. But I mean that's cool, man. It just linked right up to Steven Jackson, and they go back and forth. They talk back and forth. It's pretty cool. I need to get on there and friend up a few more athletes and try to be friends with them. Maybe I could have them call in my blog talk. Which, by the way, I'll remind you again, real fast, at the end of this first hour, which is about 30 minutes away, I will do an additional half hour, which you will hear on the Blog Talk radio player on my page. What you'll need to do at 10 o'clock Central Time, that's my time, is click play on the Blog Talk radio player up there at the top of my page. And then you will hear the last half hour of the show, complete with call-ins if I get call-ins. The Ustream feed I will still leave up and running, and you will probably be able to still hear my voice, and you'll still be able to see the video. The chat room will still be going, but you won't be able to hear callers. So if there's someone on the phone, you'll be sitting there going, I can't hear the caller, I can't hear the caller. It happened last show, and it'll happen again, I'm sure, even though we keep going over this. So, just reminding you again, you can call in at the end of the show, the phone number, 347-327-9118, and we can talk a little bit. Let's talk about Ryan Moats. Ryan Moats, if you guys don't know, is a running back for the Houston Texans. And apparently what happened was I think he and his wife and one other member of their family were in a car going to the hospital. Moats' mother-in-law was in the hospital literally dying of breast cancer. Literally dying. Like, not that she had a deadly sickness and eventually she was going to die. She was literally dying then. Right then. And they knew it, but they get pulled over because apparently Moats rolls through a red light en route to the hospital. A cop pulls him over and immediately shifts into I'm a cop, you're a black guy hoodlum mode. That's what it looked like to me. I've seen the videotape. You can see the videotape. And it is sickening and embarrassing, and I can't even think of the words. I can't even put it, and I'm a wordy kind of guy, and I cannot even describe how this makes me feel. Yeah, because like I said before, I tend to put myself in other people's situations, and so I'm putting myself in Ryan Moats' situation, and I cannot imagine forgiving this cop. This cop held them up outside the hospital, pulled his gun on them, and told him he was going to take him to jail. And all he was trying to say, all Ryan Moats was trying to say is, sir. And he was being respectful and polite and saying, sir. In a situation like that, I don't know that I could have been that level-headed. And he was saying, sir, I understand, I'm sorry, my mother-in-law is in there dying this second. We need to get in there and see her. Nurses came out of the hospital. Another officer came. And all told this guy, listen, this guy needs to get into the hospital. His mother-in-law's dying. And how does this cop respond? It's Officer Powell, what's his name? Hey, I'm almost done. And he's telling him, well, your attitude's going to dictate everything. Right now, your attitude is, wrong, and I'm going to take you to jail. And just being a real tough guy, real bossy kind of cop. And what happened? Ryan Moats' mother-in-law died. Died while the cop was out there holding them in the car with a gun. I mean, they missed it. The last few seconds of his mother-in-law's life, he and his wife missed. That's a pretty big deal, isn't it? Don't you? That was a pretty big deal. And I just found out today that this cop has officially resigned, which is good because I was going to come on here and say, this guy needs to be axed. He needs to be cut. right away. They need to fire this guy, and he needs to never be allowed to be a police officer ever again. Never again. But he resigned. He did that on his own. I get, and he tried to issue an apology, which is crap. I mean, it might be a real apology, but that's unforgivable. I don't care. I don't care how much you apologize, how bad you actually feel. I don't care if it keeps you up at night. I don't care if it causes you years and years of therapy, and I don't care if you go to your grave and die with this still heavy on your heart, because it's unforgivable. You don't do that. I mean, there are certain things that are more important than a traffic stop, and this is one of them. This is life. This is someone in your family that's dying, and you can't go say goodbye to them because some cop is on a power trip. Now listen, I know that that there's bad seeds in every profession. You know, I know, because I talk about bad cops, and you hear arguments that, well, I mean, you know, yeah, there's bad cops, but there's bad everything. I mean, there's crooked lawyers and judges, and there's, you know, people spitting in food at McDonald's, and here's the difference. Cops, unlike politicians or things like that, you know, where there can also be crooked and corrupt kind of people, cops are different, because cops are out there with us, right? They're out in public with us, with regular people, and they are, like, they're very hands-on, you know, they interact directly with us, and they are in a position of authority. And they can abuse that authority. Not all of them do. I know a lot of cops, a lot of them that are really, really cool. As a matter of fact, Dix's brother is a cop. And he's the right kind of cop. But this guy was not. This is obviously the kind of cop that is signed up because he wants to be an authority figure. He wants to tell people what to do. He has some sort of, you know, there's something missing in his life, and he needs to kind of belittle and make other people feel smaller to make him feel better. And if that's the kind of person you are, you have absolutely no right to be a police officer. That kind of person cannot be a cop. And you don't get many strikes in these kind of situations. I think it's a one and you're done kind of a deal, because cops cannot act like that. We talk about abusing your power, and, you know, I hear people say a lot of times, well, professional athletes, I mean, they act like that's their right, but that's a privilege. It's a privilege to play in the NFL. It's a privilege to play in the NBA. You know, I heard that when it comes to Michael Vick. Well, he's acting like it's his right to be back in the league, and it's a privilege for him to play. Listen, professional athletes do have a right to their job. They work harder than anyone, all right? It's not a privilege. It is their right. The kind of discipline they have to show to be at the level they're at, it's their right. It's not their privilege. They've earned that. Now, cops, being a cop, being a police officer, that is a privilege. That's a privilege. That's something totally different. You cannot abuse that privilege, because it's different than any other profession. Because you're out here and you're our boss. Us regular people, you're the boss. And you're out cruising around in your little cars, and we all see you, and we all get a little, oh God, don't pull me over. I mean, that's the kind of impact that cops have on people. So they really, really need to make sure that they are truly doing their job, upholding the law, protecting and serving, and not being like this clown who is just on a power trip, liking to tell people what to do and pull his gun out and threaten people with jail. It just makes me sick. It makes me absolutely sick. And I'm not an anti-cop guy. Like I said, I'm cool with cops, man. I'm down. But there are certain cops who have no business at all wearing the badge, and this guy is one of them.